All right, we're live.
This is the Reverend Russell and the Reverend Dr. Tony Jones, and this is the Hardest Question video blog. And today we're looking at
Ordinary 26, year
Ordinary
A.
26, year A. And this is one of those where you got two pericopes that are just kind of like
Glued together.
So,
cut and paste.
So what we decided we're
Matthew,
gonna do,
cut and paste.
Yeah, so what we decided we'll do is Dr. Jones will speak briefly about the first pericope, and then I'll talk a little bit about the second.
Well, the first one, the header in our Bible here says the authority of Jesus question, and it's about, the chief priests, the leaders of the temple come up to Jesus and say, hey, we want you to answer a question. He's like, sure, I'll answer your question, but first you have to answer my question, which is a little Willy Wonka.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah, right, totally.
And then he asks them a trick question
Right.
that they go back and huddle up and come back to him. And they're
Right.
like, either way we answer this question will be wrong.
Right.
So he's even more Willy Wonka because he
Right.
doesn't just say, I'll answer your question with a question, but he gives them an unanswerable question. And
Yeah.
so, they go away frustrated as they so often do. Here's my question for this about this is, so many times in church, we have been told, give a clear answer for your faith. Paul
Right.
says that.
Yeah,
Paul
right.
says stuff like that,
Absolutely.
like testify to
Yeah.
who you believe in, and all you have to do is confess that Jesus is the Lord,
Right.
and you will be saved.
Right.
And meanwhile, when Jesus is asked a pretty straightforward questions, and
a pretty important question too. They
Yeah.
just ask him by what authority. This is time where Jesus could go like, "I'll tell you by what
right,
authority."
right, and it's not even like, I know we tend to think of the leaders of the temple as like they're kind of demonized in our view, but this might have been an earnest question. I mean,
Yeah.
like in Mark when they ask about who should we pay tax
Right,
to,
yeah.
it says in the text like they were trying to trick him.
Right.
This doesn't say that. They're
No.
actually maybe they're about to be convinced, and they're like,
Right.
where do you,
Like,
could be earnest.
Absolutely. Where do you get your authority from? You seem like you might be honest.
And he like flicks him off.
Yeah.
Like that's his response.
He's like, "I'll tell you if you answer me this question." Then he plays them, and then they come back and they go like, "We don't know the answer," and he goes, "Well, then I'm not going to tell you." So,
It's
yeah.
really, it's like you didn't know that you were supposed to give back the everlasting gobstopper.
Right,
But
right.
then when you did it, that
Yeah.
was the secret to the
That's-
kingdom.
Totally.
So,
And well, maybe
it's a tricky
what's,
text.
Maybe what's important in here is the whole thing about John the Baptist, which is what the question is.
yeah,
about.
right.
Who was John the Baptist, or what did they think of John the Baptist? I don't know.
It's just funny that here we are in Matthew 21,
Yeah.
and we're still talking about John the Baptist.
It's really crazy.
Like, come on, dude.
Yeah.
It's about Jesus at this point.
There seemed like there must have been, who knows, first century Palestine, it seemed like there was a John the Baptist issue.
Fetish?
Or an issue maybe, like something needed to
Yeah,
be taken care
I
of because they
guess.
keep bringing him up.
And then you were going to talk about the second pericope.
So then after that, 28 and following through 32 is the parable of the two sons. And this is more vineyard.
Vineyard.
And vineyard, I read in my do you know that book, Here Then the Parables?
No.
Oh, I mean, it's just the best book on
Yeah.
the parables. Some Bradley Brandon Scott, I think his name is.
Okay.
You guys should check it out. Well, from reading that, I learned that the vineyard is always kind of means Israel. This is just
Okay.
an ancient sort of vineyard means Israel. So that's why we got all this vineyard stuff, I think, in Matthew. But anyway, he says to his one son, "Will you go tend the vineyard?" And he says, "No, I won't." But then he does it anyway. And then he goes to his other son and says, "Will you go tend the vineyard?" And he's like, "Absolutely, yes, sir. Eddie Haskell." Then he doesn't do it. And so Jesus asks the Pharisees, which one does the Father's will? And they say, well, the first one. And then Jesus goes off on them. He says, "See, that is why the prostitutes and the tax collectors, they heard about the Son of Man and they believed him, and you did not. So they are going to go into the kingdom of heaven first, before you." That's what it says. He says straight out to them, prostitutes will go into the kingdom of heaven before you. Now, what gets me about this, my question is, like, didn't we just learn last week that it doesn't matter what order you go into the kingdom of heaven, they all get paid the same wage?
Right.
It doesn't matter. So
It works by a different calculus.
it works by a different calculus. So to say that they will go in ahead of you,
There is a calculus. It's
Jesus-
an upside down calculus, right?
right. That seems meaningless.
Whatever you answer the straightforward question like you're the ethicist in the New York Times Sunday Magazine,
Right,
right?
yeah, right, yeah.
And Jesus is like, nope, Wrong answer.
Wrong answer. Right.
It's the other way.
It's the other way, right. And then here he goes, well, see, this is why you have failed, and you're going in last.
These are tough texts to preach.
They really are.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right, well, that's our little reflection on week 26 of Ordinary Time in Year A, and we look forward to hearing from you on the blog about how you're going to preach this text.